kid that's really distracting? Huh? Yeah, that's definitely their superpower. Now I know this, now hold on a minute. I know this because I've seen the movies. And what I've learned, Joel, is that every superhero is ruining things with their powers when they first start to use them. You know what I mean? Like Hulk is smashing stuff and Cyclops is burning everything up. Now, what I've learned, parents and educators, is that every young person already got their own superpowers. It is what makes them an individual. That's right. Now, I don't know what your real superpower is. They probably know because you're probably wrecking stuff with it half the time. Now, listen. You got to confront the situation your own way. You know who the situation is? Me. So you got to try and get me to stop your own way. You're not allowed to take Rick away. You don't have that superpower. And you can't be his buddy yet. But you got to try and get me to stop. But you can't hit me, okay? All right. I know. Now listen. Last thing here, Joel. Some superpowers don't work on certain enemies. I've learned that from the movies too. So if it doesn't work what you're doing, you're going to have to do what old Superman did at the end of that one movie. You're going to have to call, just like he had to call Batman for help at the end. You might have to call another superhero. And there's lots of them. They're called teachers. And they're like real superheroes to me, especially the work they've done the last couple of years helping young people. But it might even be a friend of yours. So if what you're doing doesn't work, you're going to have to go get someone to help you. You ready to try this one? You hear that, educators? Even at this age. All right, quiet in the set, please. Quiet in the set. All right, last one here. And let me give it to him a little bit. Don't come in too quick, all right? And old Mr. Incredible said, "It's Rick! What I tell you about showing your stupid face around here? I said the next time you did, I was going to knock it off you. And no one's going to help you, Rick. No one. What do you want? Huh? What do you want? What do you want? You're just standing there. Don't point at me. What? Don't be mean to Rick. I'll be mean to whoever I want to be mean to. I don't have to be nice. Quiet. Now hold on a minute. Hold on. What are you looking at? Listen, man, get out of here now, or you're going to get one of these. Yes. 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 Hey, what are you doing, man? Hey, get out of here, man. I'm telling you. Get out of here. That's right. You see that? Even he's scared of me. Everybody's scared of me. That's right. Here you go. Now you're going to get it. Yeah. All right, man. Now you're going to get it. You're going to get it, Rick. Everybody's scared of me, Rick. That's right. You're choking. Hey, get back over this. Come here, Joel. What's your name? Brandon? Right here. Joel, right here. Pay close attention here. My man Joel did a great job here. Now, this young man's got kind of a gentle soul. I can feel it coming out of him. Now, doesn't mean he can't get crazy sometimes. But just the way he was speaking to me, and I like how he used Rick's name, right? He didn't have to do that. He said, be nice to Rick, and don't do that. And he tried to tell me. And then eventually he got a little bit more courage, a little bit more confidence. And then he tried to steer me away from Rick, which was a really brave thing to do. And I don't think he would have left. I actually had to whisper to him to go get some help. And this is who we got. And Might mean that you give him some courage and confidence, or other people. Might mean you be a leader someday. That's a really important superpower because it can get misused. But they did a great job confronting the situation. Give them a big hand. All right. All right, well, we're right at the end here. And let's just review real quick. We talked about bullying. It's 4 things. It's being mean or happens over and the person has to feel smaller or and it happens on. And Rick taught us about sweethearts. And what do they give to other people? That's right. Every one of you, parents, teachers, students, you all got hope inside of you that you can give to other people if you choose to. You might change someone's life forever by giving it to them. And a few of you today, if you use those superpowers within how many seconds? Or your own superpowers, I promise you, you'll become someone's hero. Teachers, last word is for you. None of these great skills matter unless we practice. Like every other great skill in education, you cannot expect these young people to do it when it means the most if they never practice. Everybody give Rick one more big hand. So we have a few extra minutes, which is great. I know y'all have been sitting there for a long time. But we wanted to give you a chance, and we got to be very mindful here, because it's hard when you sit for an hour. But Rick, when I first met him, I never asked him any questions. I was really too scared to, because I thought I was going to hurt his feelings or embarrass him. And that was really an issue with me. There's really no questions off limit with Rick. And it wasn't until I started hanging out with 3rd graders and 4th graders when they started asking some of the greatest questions. And I thought, man, I wish I had the courage to ask him those questions. So if somebody might have a question for Rick, he'd love to answer some questions.
Anything at all. Nothing is off limits with me. Like I said, or like Mr. Gretel said, I'm very comfortable with who I am. So you're not going to hurt my feelings by asking me difficult questions. I've lived this way now for 17 years. 17 years ago is when this happened to me. So I've lived this way for 17 years. I'm 41 years old. You're not going to hurt my feelings, I promise. Do you know the real reason you won't hurt my feelings, though? There's a real reason. The real reason you won't hurt my feelings is because I don't have any feelings. Isn't that crazy? I'm kidding. I do have feelings. But you're not going to hurt them. So don't be afraid to ask me some questions. Right here in the middle. Yep. How did I get hurt? So that's the $1 million question. What happened? What happened to Rick? So I told you that I used to be a soldier. That's right. Not a donkey. So I used to be a soldier. So 17 years ago, I was in a country far away, and I was in a vehicle called a Bradley, which is like a small tank. And that day that I was in that tank, I was actually hit with an explosion. And the explosion went into the turret where I was sitting. But that's actually also where we have our fuel tank. And it hit the fuel tank. So that's a picture of my Bradley right there. That's what a Bradley looks like. It's like I said, it's like a tank. So I was hit with an explosion, and it hit the fuel tank. And I don't know if that's on there or not. That's the picture of my Bradley afterwards. So it burned for a long time. But when the vehicle was first hit and it was on fire, do you think I was also on fire? Yes. And I had to get out. It was the first thing I had to do. Couldn't think of anything else. I just had to get out of the vehicle. So I climbed to the top. Once I got to the top, what do you think I had to do next? I had to what? I had to jump off. That's right. Now there was a problem. There was actually 2 big problems. The first problem was that it's a long ways down to the ground. It's actually 10 feet. So from the top of the turret to the ground is 10 feet. And 10 feet is really easy to imagine. Why? What else is 10 feet that you know of? Just say it. Just keep saying it. What's that right there? The rim on a basketball hoop is 10 feet off of the ground. So if you can imagine yourself standing on that rim, your head's going to be above the backboard. That's going to be a long ways to the ground. That's a big problem. There's a bigger problem. The bigger problem was I actually couldn't see anything. I couldn't see anything because the fire and the smoke. And obviously you can see the way I look. that means my face was also on fire. So the fire was covering my eyes, I couldn't see. But just because I couldn't see, does that mean I shouldn't jump? No, I had to jump. I had no choice. I had to get off the vehicle. So I jumped. And I made it to the ground. When I landed on the ground, did I land safely? No, that's right. And that's how I ended up with what? That's right. Does anybody know the real name for that?
Prosthetic leg.
Prosthetic leg, that's right. And you know what word is really boring? Prosthetic. Do you know what's not really boring? Wicked awesome robot leg. That's way cooler. Way cooler. That's why I call it that. So I landed on the ground and broke my leg very badly. That's how I ended up with that. Eventually, I started rolling in one direction. Because I did. What do you do if you catch on fire? That's right. That didn't actually work for me that day because there was too much fire. So I ended up rolling in one direction, and I actually rolled down a little hill and into a canal that was there. And a canal has what in it? Water. That's right. Water. There was just enough water to put the fire on, and it saved my life. Saved my life. Eventually, a couple of my friends found me and carried me out of the canal. But when I got to the top of the canal, that's when I realized how bad my hands were, how bad my face was. I knew it was really bad. And one of my buddies that pulled me out of the canal, he was standing over me and helping me. Because when we deal with difficult things, do we need help? Yeah, and we need to accept help. Sometimes that's hard for us to do. That's admitting that you can't do it on your own. But who cares? If you can't do it by yourself and you don't accept the help that people are offering you, will that ever get done? No. So you got to accept help. So he was there helping me in that moment. And I asked him a really silly question. I said, how bad is it? Now that's a silly question because I knew how bad it was. I saw my hands, I saw my face, I knew it was bad. But what do you think he said to me after I asked him that? No. What do you think he said to me? Yeah. What do you think he said? What's that? He said it's not that bad. Was that the truth? No, the truth was it's really bad and you might not make it. That's the truth. But that's not what I needed to hear. He said what I needed to hear in that moment. He said, it's not that bad. And after he said that to me, I actually looked back at him and I said, well, at least I'll never be as ugly as you are. What? Do you think I actually said that to him? Yes, I did. Listen, he's a good friend of mine. Can we joke around with our friends once in a while? We know we're not going to hurt them by the jokes that we have, because there are certain jokes that would hurt your friends, but I knew this joke would not hurt him. I actually knew it would help him. Because the truth was, Rick, it's really bad. You might not make it. But he heard that my sense of humor was still there. And I think when he heard my sense of humor was still there, it actually gave him a little bit of that word. That's right. It gave him some hope. And that's the hope that, you know what, maybe Rick's going to make it through this after all. And then eventually, you know, the helicopters came and took me and my friends away to the hospital. And I was in the hospital for how long? 6 months. That's right, half of a year. Here's the craziest part of the whole story. Craziest part of the whole story. 17 years later, that's how long ago it happened. Craziest part of that whole story is that was the best thing that ever happened to me. That was the best. Does that make any sense at all? I know. It's confusing to hear that, but here's 3 really easy reasons I can say it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Would I be in this room with you right now if I didn't get hurt 17 years ago? No, I would not. I absolutely would not be doing this today. Mr. Incredible and I, my real name's Tom. I can't keep calling Mr. Incredible all day long. That really hurts my brain. If we have spoken in front of nearly 2 million students across the country, would that have happened if I didn't get hurt 17 years ago? No, it wouldn't. Do you think that means I'm glad I got hurt? No, it does not. But did I get hurt? Can I change that I got hurt? I can. So I got to find good things that came out of it. And one of those things is you all. I wouldn't have met you today if this didn't happen to me 17 years ago. That's one reason. Another reason is I would have never met my wife if I didn't get hurt 17 years ago. I met my wife after I got hurt. That wouldn't have happened if I didn't get hurt. Also, I wouldn't have my 2 daughters. Yeah, so people really understand now. They're like, oh, I get it. I wouldn't have my 2 little girls. I have an 11-year-old and a 3-year-old, Tenley and Grace. And they wouldn't be a part of my life today if I didn't get hurt. So how can I look back at that day and say, man, that's the day my life was ruined? Can I look back at that day and say that? I can, but what do I have? I have a I have a choice. I get to choose how I look at that day. Nobody else can say that, oh man, that must have been the worst day of his life. Well, unfortunately, or fortunately for me, it's not up to everybody else. It's up to me how I look at that day. So I can look at that day and I get to choose how I look at that day. And I say, you know what? It's the best thing that ever happened to me because it led to really amazing things in my life. So that's the craziest part of that whole story. All right, what else you got right here? Okay. Well, thank you very much. I think I look really cool too. Like awesomely cool. I got incredibly handsome because of what happened to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. My robot leg is pretty cool. I'm very lucky to have it. Actually, that kind of brings up something I like to talk about with my robot leg. Do you think I wanted to get a robot leg? No, I didn't want to get hurt, like I said, and I didn't want to have to get a robot leg. But I feel very lucky to have my robot leg, because if I didn't, I'd have to be in a wheelchair, and it's hard for me to move around in a wheelchair because of my hands. You have to push yourself with your chair, with your hands. I have a hard time, because I have to pull myself with my good leg. Very hard to do. So I feel lucky to have that robot leg. But on that topic of feeling lucky to have something, feeling blessed to have something, if I was in my chair right now, what do you think I might say about my chair? That I'm lucky to have it. But I just told you, I don't really like my wheelchair. I don't like being in it. But I am lucky to have it. Because if I didn't, then how am I getting around? Hopping? That ain't going to work real well. I'm going to be not doing that for very long. But so I feel lucky to have the things that I have. He will never be allowed to push me in a wheelchair. Because then I got to go wherever he wants to go. I don't want to go where he wants to go. I want to go where I want to go. But yeah, so I feel lucky to have the things that I have. I feel lucky to have the hands that I have. People would be surprised to hear that, especially if you've never met me before. The first thing I told you was, I'm lucky to have my hands. You're like, what? How could you say that? Well, do you think I can drive a car? I sure can. You know how I can drive a car? You know why I can drive a car? Not with my hands, but you know why I can drive a car? Because I wanted to drive a car. I have a friend who has no hands. He got injured in Iraq as well, and he lost his hands. He has no hands. You know what he's extremely good at? Playing video games. And okay, here, this is going to disappoint all of you. He's better than everyone in this room at video games. I know. The biggest argument in the world. That's impossible. All right, so listen. So he has no hands. He's got no hands. And he plays video games, and he's extremely good at it. How do you think he plays? How does he play? He doesn't have robot hands, but he can't use those to play video games. He plays with his feet. He plays with his toes. But listen, it's the same reason I can drive a car. Why can he play video games? Because he wanted to, right? If he didn't want to play video games, would he be able to play video games? No. If I didn't want to drive a car, would I be driving a car? No. So you have to want to do something first, then you got to practice. And I'm telling you right now, if he didn't have like I said, he doesn't have his hands, and if he also did not have his feet, do you think he would be able to play video games today? Yes, he would. You know why? Because he wanted to, right? He would figure out a way. You got to figure out ways to make things happen if you really want them to happen. Yeah. Yep. I was in the military for 5 years. So 2 years before I got hurt, and another 3 after I got hurt. So that confuses people when I say I was still a soldier after I got hurt, but it was really only to have surgeries and stuff like that. So I've had over 100 surgeries, and it took a very long time to get all those done. So I was in the military for 3 more years after I got injured. Yes? What's that? So I was in the war in Iraq. So it's actually called Operation Iraqi Freedom. That was where I was. So over in Iraq. You had something right here. You're not raising your hand anymore, what? I skipped you a few times. Yeah, but. Where do I live? A place called, near a place called Binghamton, New York. Anybody know where Binghamton, New York is? A few of you? Not too far away from here, a little over 2 hours away. Not too bad. Not too bad. Yes. Before I was a soldier, yeah, actually I love to cook. So I had a lot of cooking jobs. I worked at a lot of pizza places I worked at. I worked at Subway. Everybody knows what Subway is. I worked at a place called Pizzeria Uno at one time. A bunch of local places. But guess what I still love to do? Cook. I still love to cook. And actually today, now I own a restaurant. I don't cook in the restaurant because restaurants are way too fast and I just can't keep up with my hands. But at home I cook all the time. So I love to cook and that's continued today. Yeah. My favorite color? Well, my favorite color is burnt orange, which is kind of weird. Because why? Because I'm burned. My favorite color happens to be burnt orange. It's the best way to describe the color orange that I like. It's a fall color, not the regular orange. So burnt orange, yeah. Is he my brother? He's actually my twin. Oh, I'm kidding. He wishes he could be as handsome as me. No, so he's not. But we met about 13 years ago, probably. Yeah, a long time ago. Maybe older than all of you in the room. 13 years ago. Yeah. How do I eat? Like, she said, how do I eat? You know what I'm really, really good at? Eating. I'm a professional eater. So with my hands, yeah. So again, when I first got hurt, could I hold a fork and a knife? No, I actually had to have somebody help me eat, help me do everything, and it really was not fun. Not something that I wanted to do forever. So what did I have to do?
Practice eating.
I had to practice. I had to figure out how to do it on my own. So eventually I learned how to hold a fork, and eventually I learned how to hold a knife, and that was a long time ago. It's just like learning how to drive a car. Things that I needed to do. I don't know why I put that. Your dad was in the Army? The Army's the best. Actually, Tom's daughter is a Marine. He has one Marine daughter and one daughter in the Air Force, too. What's that? So he said, my ears shrunk. They didn't shrink, they got burned. So they got burned. I told them that my face was on fire. So my ears actually got burned. What are your ears made of? Your ears and your nose. That's right. So I asked the first grade class at one time, and the first grader said cardboard, and that is not correct. It's not cardboard. But he was on the right track. He was looking for the word cartilage, and he said cartilage. But my ears, my nose, they burned. The cartilage does not grow back. Can I still hear? Yeah, I can. Can I still smell? I can. So even though I don't have those things, I still have those senses. I did lose the sense of touch, though. I cannot feel. Cannot feel with my hands. That was about 10 years ago. Actually, no, it was 2010, so it was 13 years. What's that? That's right. Yep. All right, I haven't got over here. The purple. Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you. You know, I've learned that I am more comfortable with the way I look today than the way I looked 18 years ago before I got hurt. And I would have said that I was comfortable back then, but I didn't really know what comfortable meant. I am extremely comfortable with the way I look today. Can I change the way I look? No. Can you change the way you look? No. So you accept the way you look, and then you become comfortable with the way you look, and then you love the way you look. And today, that's where I'm at. I am to the point where I just love the way I look, because this is the way I look, and I can't change it. And I don't want to change it. Yes. Yep. What happened to my fingers? What fingers don't I have? Can you tell? I don't have what? I don't have pinkies. So you know what that limits me to? I can't do anymore. There's only one thing I can't do anymore. Pinky. Well, that's who I can't pinky promise. That's a good one. I forgot about that one. What else can't I do though? I can't drink tea. You get it. Now some people are like, I get it. Or I can't properly drink tea anymore. So I don't have pinkies, but they weren't doing anything for me anyways when I got hurt, so I had a surgery to remove them, and my hands are actually better off today than they were before I had them. So, all right, last one. Yeah, the jersey, 8. Or, yeah, I think you're 8. What's that? actually called a cavalry scout. So I was a cavalry scout. That was my job in the Army. So great questions, everyone. Thank you so much for your questions. We appreciate you all being on. Thank you.
All right. Fourth graders, you did a fantastic job. You were showing the freebies throughout the entire assembly. You were an excellent audience, and I think we've all come away here learning something new. I know I certainly did. I cannot wait to see you all practicing the A, B's, and C's to support your friends whenever they're having challenges. All right? Great job. I want you all to have a great day and a great weekend. At this time, we'll conclude our assembly. We'll have you stay seated until your teacher asks you to stand. We'll go one class at a time. Guys, let's give one more big round of applause.